in this world we have different things that make us strive to be the best we can be, and for some people that is someone they love or like. It's their line of duty or it's a passion, and for me it's a passion. I love soccer, I love the sport, and I love to watch it. And for me, my favorite thing to watch when it comes to soccer is the World Cup, which sadly only comes around once in 4 years, but it's a month long, so it's a big thing. Super competitive, love to watch it. What makes this tournament so big is, or called the world sport, soccer, is the international teams that compete in this tournament. Strictly international, so therefore it can be the US, Spain, Germany, Portugal, whatever the case is, it's international. That is what makes it such a big tournament, is the international part. It's not just the Super Bowl here in America or the World Series when it comes to baseball. It is the world sport. What makes this tournament so complex and whatnot is the organization that's needed, so the qualifications needed to get into it, so a certain amount of wins and losses to get in, and the economy that it builds for each host country, which I will go on to explain later, and the different cultures and fans that make the game extremely passionate and what makes the players, play for their country. So to start it off, I'm going to start off with the qualifications, because for me, it was also a learning process, because as much as I love soccer and I love the whole process of it, I didn't know how teams actually qualify for it. So it's not only a learning process for you guys, but it's a process for me. So to start it off, there's 32 teams competing. One spot is automatically saved for the host country or the host country. So let's say the US is hosting it, they're automatically in. And what the rule used to be is the defending champions, for example, in 2010 Spain won. They had an automatic into this recent World Cup, so the 2014 World Cup, and they sadly got out in the group stage, and because they didn't have any qualifying games to actually compete and be at a competitive level before the actual tournament started. So therefore, this rule is no longer actually there, because of the factual statistics that show that this isn't like an actual rule that helps the players and the teams. So, like other sports, the World Cup causes different changes in the host country and economy, and sometimes this can be good and bad, but most of the time it's good, helps build a lot of money for the specific country. So first of all, it starts off with the major bid of the country. For example, the most recent one in Brazil, the 2014 World Cup, they bidded over $14 million to have it hosted in their country, and this is just the bid alone, not the specific revenue to build the stadiums, all this complex infrastructure to host it actually. So it's on top of 14 million as well. This is an example of a bad effect of the World Cup and how it changes the economy. First of all, Brazil is not in a very good spot at the moment because of the economy, and the fans alone thought, hey, why is the government spending over $14 million to host a sports event and not focusing on other actual problems such as war, poorness in the country, starvation, things like that. This is also the beginning of really good advertising for the country. So, tourists are coming and visiting from other countries all over around the world. So tourism is extremely elevated in this case. And not only that, but also cultural and international trade. So this helps the agents of players such as, for an example, James Rodriguez, a Colombian soccer player who recently performed very well in the 2014 World Cup. He performed well, so therefore this opened himself up to other countries that wanted to bid the player to play for their specific club. A club is not played in a specific country. It can be all over the place, and it's just a club of a different assortment of players. They don't have to be from the certain country, such as what is needed for the World Cup, an international sport. And on to the next, we are into the culture and the experience of the World Cup. The main part, the passion. Soccer, like major events, creates this ability to bring together different cultures and mesh people together, whether you're from the US, Spain, Germany. All together, we are fans who support the game and believe in it. Interviews or videos can show players after games, after they scored a game-winning goal or just made a major impact on the game. Interviews will be like, how did it go? And most of the time, the person being interviewed, the player, doesn't have words, because soccer doesn't have an emotion. There's no words for the game because you're speechless. I'm even speechless right now. On top of this, sadly though, there is racism and terrorism. So the big point of soccer when it comes to the World Cup is the fight against racism. Sadly, it's still a thing in today's world. I'm not sure how, but it is. And the World Cup promotes fighting against racism. On top of this, recently one of the qualifiers, Germany versus France, a lot of people know the terrorist group ISIS, recently attacked nearby hotels, restaurants, and sadly took the lives of other people. And this was due to terrorism against the game of soccer. So soccer as well promotes the fight against terrorism. On top of this, we have different films that depict the different passions, the different moods of the games and whatnot. Some movies are the 1970 World Cup film, The World at Their Feet, 2 Billion Hearts, the 1998 World Cup, and that's actually my favorite film. It depicts really well the passions, the levels of intensity, such and such. Some of these components are just a few though. There's a lot more components, more positives actually. I mentioned a lot of negatives sadly, but there is more positives that bring the world together for this big tournament and make it the sport what it is. Some of these points that I mentioned were the economy, the culture, and the games that help the teams qualify, and I just went over the brackets simply. I'm hoping this provided a clear image of you for what the World Cup is. Sadly, it's more negative, but there is positives. And I'm just hoping that you understand why it's called the world sport, because it incorporates just about every team in this tournament, mostly bigger teams in Europe, America, South America, things like that. And it shows why teams are such passionate and why a lot of people are extremely passionate about this sport. Thank you for watching.